Welcome to my channel, SteveO the Window Cleaner. Today we are talking all about scheduling. We are talking about scheduling root work, residential work, and larger commercial work. So more like mid-rise, not high-rise. We're going to talk about everything else related. So with all of this, there's a lot to think about. What I do to basically organize my schedule is I use Jobber. Jobber is a CRM that you can organize your schedule. You can have your employees clocking on. You can do your billing from. There's so many different things you can do with Jobber. You can send quotes, just all that good stuff. And basically, I am going to talk about Jobber because that's what I use and how I organize my schedule. If you're brand new to window cleaning, you're probably looking at everything, you're thinking, wow, so when's the best time to do homes? When's the best time to do mid-rise? When's the best time to do storefronts? So let's just start out with storefronts. First of all, the way that I organize storefronts is pretty much this. There's restaurants which usually need to be done between 8 and 11 in the morning. Even if you can do, there's some restaurants that like it at like graveyard shift as well. I've never done that. That's not something I've ever got into, but I know it happens out there. So that's something that can happen. But with storefronts, it's really pretty simple. So personally for me right now, I do not have any restaurants that I have to do between 8 and 11, which is super nice. But when I used to do restaurants, that was always a very strong amount of hours. If you're doing outside only, didn't really matter. They didn't really want you there while it was busy time, but pretty much any other time was okay for outside only. But inside and out, if you're doing like a lunch or dinner place, you're always going to go there between pretty much before 11 o'clock is usually when they open. If you're doing a breakfast place and they close around 2, usually you'll do that place in the afternoon. Usually it's a good time to schedule them. Basically, hey, when are you like when's the last hour or 2 hours, depending on the size of the restaurant that you're here, and I'll get you worked in the schedule. That's how I've always done restaurants, is either or early morning or late afternoon. Really good. Everything else, I would say one other one that you could think of is like dentist offices or anything medical related. There is sometimes better times to do that. I personally have a couple of them right now. They don't require any special times. I do try to get there during their lunch hour so that I can get all the medical offices done. Sometimes that stuff where there's always going to be people in, if you can get keys and you can have the ability to maybe go in off hours, it could be a lot easier and a lot more stress-free. I clean a lot of places where I'm working around. I used to clean a dentist place where there'd be people getting their teeth cleaned and you would come into the room and clean the window. They didn't care. I always thought it was a little bit weird though. Like, I don't think I would want that, but the place was fine with it and that's what they wanted. So what I do with my schedule is that, so on my Jobber calendar for most storefronts, I have them marked as any time. So they're on the day, they're not in a specific time, but they're any time. If I had a restaurant, right, I would do that 8 to 11. And then what I can do from there is if I had employees, I could basically color code every single employee to what their schedule is and assign them that. So on their app or whatever they check in on, they can only see their schedule. So that's a really nice thing about having a CRM, especially if you have employees, but also just organizing in general. And that for storefronts, most of the time, I just have it as any time. And that's just a button you push when you schedule everything in there. And that just makes it a lot easier. But that's pretty much it for storefronts. There's not really a whole lot of scheduling problems with storefronts, and that's a nice thing, is you can kind of fit them in anywhere. And then once we go on to, let's go on to mid-rise. Mid-rise, really pretty easy. If you're doing insides, you'll find that most mid-rise places, unless it's just a 24/7 open place like a hospital or something like that, they usually won't care. But if you are doing larger businesses, usually they will want you to do the insides on a day where nobody is in, such as office buildings. Outside only is usually fine anytime. That's the really nice thing about mid-rise work, is usually it's on a quarterly or bi-yearly or one time a year schedule. And usually you can just let them know, hey, we're gonna work it in at this time, unless it's something like a hospital or somewhere where they have to know that you're gonna be there, then you will have a select time. But most mid-rise, you can pretty much have on a floating schedule where basically, hey, you get done one day and you have 4 hours left and you know that that building is going to take you 3.5. Why not go get that building done? So that's the really nice thing about mid-rise. Usually mid-rise though, you have like yearly contracts or just, you know, an agreement. So, But mid-rise is great fill-in work as well. Like all of a sudden a house cancels, boom, let's go do this building in today. So mid-rise work, nothing too crazy as far as the actual daytime schedules, as far as putting on the calendar, but you can always have it floating in the calendar. So say one thing I would do with most of my buildings is they want bi-yearly. So I have them scheduled for every 6 months. Now, what can happen in the schedule is when they show up on Jobber, boom, they show up as on a Sunday, right? I'm not going to do it on a Sunday, so then I just move them into that week, and I see it right as I get into that month of everything that's on the schedule, and I put it to where it should be on an open day. Apart from there, there's not really much more about mid-rise. It is always important to contact the people and just let them know when you're going to be there so they can alert anybody if needed. But usually it's not too crazy with mid-rise as far as that stuff goes, I'd have to say. Residential, you have a lot of different things to think about when scheduling residential. Really nice thing all the time is you want to schedule a slot. So I always do, if I'm going to do that first thing in the morning, an 8 to 9 a.m. slot. I do 1 hour slots. I don't like to do 2 hours and say, hey, I'll be there between 11 and 1. I usually like to do a 1 hour time slot. One nice thing about once you put it in Jobber is you can give them a text about like 30 minutes or 5 minutes. You can choose a time and you can say, I'm on my way, and let the customer know. You can also have it be where it sends them an email or a text the day before and lets them know, hey, I'm going to be there at this time, just so you know, and then they can just confirm whether or not they want it. So that's some cool features about that. But homes, if you have 2 large homes, boom, 8 to 12, 1 to 4, or 1 to 5. If you have a bunch of small homes, then you just schedule them throughout the day, maybe 2 hour time slots. That's it. But most of the time, I find it good to start homes around 8:30 to 9. In the summer, I will start at 8 just to get an early start on the day. Usually, I do not try to stay in someone's home past 5. I do see others out there that are probably at homes longer than that. I try to keep in a good amount of time. That's also something important to think about with like any sort of jobs, is that if you start finding that you're, working late at night and you're kind of like some customers won't care, but if you're always at homes late and you're finding you have way too much work, that's time to hire an employee. That's one thing about homes that's a little bit different than I think commercial and root work, is that they also want a fast service. And sometimes something that I run into being a lone ranger is that some of these people want it done faster than what one person can do it. You may be the greatest window cleaner in the world, but if you can't get it done efficiently, that's really one big thing to think about if you're going to make it big, is that they may want it done quicker. So, some don't care, but it's a good thing to think about for cleaning homes and making sure the customer is happy with the efficiency. Another thing that you can really do is, let's see, with residential, Saturdays are a good time for residential. Residential can really go any day of the week. I don't work Sundays. I'm working this Sunday, which is funny, but I messed up with my schedule. But that's something, it's not a select day of the week. There's never a select day of the week that's better for anything. You will find that usually, from what I've seen at companies, usually Monday through Wednesdays, if they have heavy routes during those days, and then for some reason Fridays and Saturdays always seem to be more full with residential, but that's just what I've noticed over time. Some of the benefits of Jobber in creating your schedule is there's a lot of different things out there that you can make your schedule in, and it's really important to get that down pat and to create a system that you like. It might take you a couple of years to decide on how exactly you like to schedule things, but those are some tips on how to schedule the different kinds of jobs that we come across. But inside of of Jobber, I like to schedule my stuff on my laptop or PC at home. I like the Jobber app, but I find it a little bit easier to, if I missed a job or they cancel it, I need to move it 2 weeks and change it in the whole entire schedule. It's a lot easier to do on my laptop than to do it on the phone. So I do suggest any big schedule changes you do, I would do it once you're in your office. I like phone apps. I always just find that any phone app kind of has its limitations with anything, and everything's easier to do online. So if you've ever talked to me about Job and you're like, hey, what's the easiest way to set this up? I always say, just do it on your laptop and then have your schedule for reference during the day. You know, and also a good thing to do if you're getting a lot of bids and you want to do your bids in person, work those in with your schedule over time. You know, bids are important to get there quick, but that's something else you can do with your schedule. So that's it as far as like really organizing your schedule. You know, one of the things that I kind of go back and forth on is like reminders. I have reminders set for like my residential customers, but I don't have reminders set for like my commercial and storefront. Only because sometimes they don't need reminders. They just want me to be done. They want me to do it and be done, and that's it. So that's some things to think about there. But I would really encourage getting a CRM or getting some sort of schedule down so that you can have everything ready to go. Something like Jobber can grow with you over time. That's a really good thing about it. So if you're adding employees, you can have them sign in, you can have them clock in on it, you can have their whole entire routes mapped out through Jobber, like you don't have to do it. There's just a lot of benefits, and they're always adding different things, implementing with the software, so that's really good. So I want to talk a little bit about that today, and I think, you know, a schedule can be very daunting as far as where to start, and I think those are some very good tips on where to start with storefronts, residential, and mid-rise commercial. So if you have any questions, comment below. Go check out Jobber. I'll have their link below. I've been an ambassador for Jobber for almost, I would say, like 3 years now. And I'll be honest with you, it have been a really good ambassadorship as far as influencing for them, because apart from, I've been a part of some other ones that haven't had the company as involved. And I just want to point that out, is that they're a really good company, and also try to push us ambassadors for them on topics every single month. And if you just want to be a part of like a cool company as far as that goes, as far as a company that tries to update everything, they're a more expensive CRM, definitely from like what I hear from the other ones in the market, but they also have a lot of really good tools. I think that one of the biggest things that people always ask about is mass emailing, and they can do that now through MailChimp. So that's a really cool thing. But if you got any questions, comment below. If you got any questions for Jobber, let me know, and you could definitely have someone from Jobber reach out to you. I'm not trying to make this a sales pitch to go buy Jobber, but I do really stand behind them, and that they are a really great CRM for your company, and you can get everything done through them. You can have, you know, bill your customers, all that good stuff. So hope this has been helpful. Hope you all having a good winter. Spring will be here soon. And if you got any more questions about scheduling, just comment below. Peace.